This old limestone block wall in Clifton was built out over a century ago and is still standing strong to this day. But the actual stones that it was constructed with are ancient, having formed more than 400 million years ago. That's more than 200 million years before the dinosaurs ever walked the earth. Let me explain what I mean. About 400 million years ago, the entire state of Kentucky was actually underwater, completely covered by a warm, shallow sea. And over time, the remains of the marine life, like coral, shellfish, and algae, would settle along the seafloor, creating thick layers of calcium-rich sediment. And as more layers built up year after year, the pressure actually compacted that sediment. And natural chemical reactions caused it to harden over time into limestone rock, until someone eventually came along, dug it up, and shaped it into blocks, like the ones you see in the wall we just looked at. That's why you can sometimes see tiny seashells and fossils in this type of stone. Those are actually petrified sea creatures that lived hundreds of millions of years ago. And you can actually see examples of these limestone block walls built all over the neighborhood of Clifton, especially along steep hillsides and corners, many times built to keep that land in place and mark boundaries. And I know what you're probably thinking. Where did they find all this ancient limestone to build out all these walls all over the neighborhood like this? Well, it just so happens that the neighborhood of Clifton was one of the limestone capitals of Louisville back in its heyday, with multiple large-scale limestone quarries operating on the outskirts of that area from the mid-1800s to the early 1900s. So they probably sourced it from this very neighborhood. In fact, just a few blocks away is Quarry Street, which got its name from its original function before it became a residential street, being right on the outskirts of one of these large-scale limestone quarries. And then of course there was the city workhouse located a couple blocks away from there where current-day Breslin Park now sits, which was a prison facility built out in 1835 that actually put its prisoners to work in these limestone quarries because of the limestone-rich rock bed that the workhouse was built around. Long story short, this neighborhood was flushed with limestone. And these beautiful stone walls are more likely than not a product of the same stone that had been buried underneath this entire area 400 million years before it ever became a neighborhood.